Jocelyn. And staff members, we have Ross and Marissa. And I understand Ailey will not be here tonight.
Thank you. Instead of an icebreaker, we're going to play a game that Marissa came up with. Is what do you think happened to David? So I have a broken foot here, as you guys can see. I've got some rib damage and some scrapes. I've got a pinky that was torn off. I think that's basically, I hit my chin too. So what do you guys think happened?
Oh, that's the game?
That's the game
Wait.
instead of the icebreaker, yeah.
Well, hold on,
Yeah.
who's starting? I am very curious about
I already know what happened because he told me, so I'll just pass.
Bicycle accident, nope.
Rollerblading.
No, I would never do that. Any other guesses?
Fall down your stairs.
It was a fall, but it was not down the stairs.
Horseback.
No horseback. Too rugged for me. No, I was walking. So I'll just tell you guys what happened. So I was in Orlando for a golf trip and went and had dinner with a couple friends and a couple of their parents. And after dinner, we were going to walk through the development to another place across the street that had more restaurants and stuff like that. And so we're walking through this unfamiliar development, and it's kind of like dimly lit. And there's like a hedge around it, so I'm kind of like looking for a spot in the hedge to get through to a sidewalk. And on the other side of that's bright lights, and then over on this side it's really, really dark. And so like your eyes, don't necessarily like adjust to what's right in front of you. And so I'm walking along and boop, disappear.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No, well, I fell in. So happened to be a not a sewer drain, a stormwater drain that was rusted out. That was like a hole with all these like things. I'll show you pictures of it. It's pretty crazy. And so I fell into that, and it was like this deep, and I hit my chin. So I was lucky it wasn't a lot worse. But I don't know if you guys know anybody that's ever happened to. That kind of sucks. Yeah.
How did they get you out?
I was at that point. So I had superhuman strength because adrenaline was going through me. So I kind of like pushed and then like jumped up. But I'm trying to find you guys a picture that I could hold up, but I don't know if it'll show on here. I don't want to open these because there might be blood. But it was all. I'll show you my phone afterwards. But it was all like jagged and rusted, and so it's like I don't even know how I got out of there without it like snagging my clothes and like letting me. So. It was scary. So
it reminds me of like a Friends episode or like a Seinfeld episode or something of like one of them fall. Actually, you don't see the fall; you just see them like come in afterwards with the crutches.
Well, I put like a red balloon on it before. But, so that's the thing. You can't really see it from there, but you can see how rusted and.
New picture.
Yeah. Oh shoot! Sorry. Why did they do that to me? So back to the picture there, so you can see. Oh my gosh! So very dangerous. But yeah, if it was a kid or something like that, then it probably wouldn't have made it, or a dog or something. Cone was there. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's what happened. So, it is what it is. So I'm a little bit groggy today, so I apologize for that. But that was Thursday. So I was supposed to come back Sunday. Went to ER Thursday night, and then came back like 1 a.m. That'd be Saturday morning, so I got a flight back. So had an appointment Monday, have to have surgery next Thursday, and be back to new in like 10 weeks, or semi-new. New old.
Wow.
Fun times. How was that icebreaker? All right, public recognition. So we have identified the Fishers Parks Department and the Maker Playground for all of your tremendous work out there, what you guys have done. I don't know if everybody's experienced it, but I'm there most every day and get to see firsthand all the work and how much they're putting into it and what it does for the community. And just wanted to say a big thank you for all of that because it's awesome. So, cool. Are we doing a picture?
We can certainly do a picture.
Okay. Well, I just gotta figure out.
Do you want me just to come? We
Well,
can just huddle
I
around
think
you.
everybody's supposed to come up here.
Yeah,
Like
come
it's
on.
supposed to be up, right?
I don't want to be responsible.
Oh
for
my
any
gosh, he's
further
climbing
injuries.
stairs.
I know, don't fall again, I know. Be careful, Melissa.
Somebody stand up front so I can get my food.
Look great.
Thank you. Congratulations.
That's a really congratulations.
All right, we have the consent agenda, which is a voting item. We have the approval of the previous minutes and reports. We have the fiscal report that's included in there, UDO Community Arts Subcommittee, and the grants report. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
David, I'm just abstaining from the minutes, that's all.
Okay.
'Cause I wasn't here.
Well, thank you. We have new business, community and public relations staff report by Stephanie Perry.
I always forget. Hello. Don't have too much to share tonight. Since we last met, we announced formally our partner program. And so that was exciting. We got the press release out. We provided all the partners with toolkits on how they can promote their partnership on social media and the blog throughout the next, 12 to 18 months. We had an interview. Marisol did an interview. I do not think it's published yet. So we did it was an interview with the current. So we will continue to be promoting that and all the great work the partners are doing this winter and next year. Our next release planned is actually on Monday. We will be announcing the new grant programs, the Vibrancy Grant and the Art Grant. So hopefully we get some press around that as well. Other news, Shop Fishers is quickly approaching. So our department is working on our annual Shop Local event that kicks off on Small Business Saturday, the 27th, and runs through the 31st. I think I shared last time, we're really focused on homegrown kind of local businesses. So we have about 70 businesses. They're all really great and locally owned. We have some new kind of makers who have joined us, some online businesses, some Etsy shops, we have like a woodworking business and someone who makes homemade candles out of their home. So just a lot of great kind of new additions I'm really excited about. David is participating as well. So that's exciting to just have kind of a new makeup of businesses. So hopefully you can support that initiative. And I think that's all the big stuff in PR, at least for now. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the Fishers Park staff report by Marissa.
All right, we are winding down our busy season, but super successful season. We've seen like triple to quadruple attendance at most of our events this year, which has been overwhelming in a good way, but makes us think about things differently as we head into next year, how to facilitate that best and provide a good experience. So we're kind of in the planning stages right now for next year. We have Winter Wonderland coming up, which is going to be a lot more passive than it has been in past years. We've always had a ton of kids' activities and crafts, and there's like a million different things going on, but it never feels like cohesive, really. So we are ditching most of the references to Christmas in particular and celebrating all winter holidays, which we were able to do last year during COVID in like a craft box activity form. So we're trying to kind of celebrate that. Lights, fire pits, food trucks, music from all different celebrations. There will be carriage rides around here. Fishers Arts Council will be inside, I think, right? Yes, is that happening? Okay. So we're gonna try to partner with them as best we can to play up everything that you guys are doing here inside the auditorium. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. There will be a tree lighting still on the stage. That's kind of the last thing that is hanging on for that event. what else do we have? We are shifting in the makerspace a little bit as we start to ramp up in memberships. It's not anything huge, but we are getting more members. So we are starting to transition some of our programs to drop-ins. So if you have an open night and you go, oh, we had dinner, we have some extra time, what should we do? You could drop into the makerspace, and there's a variety of different like pre-put together choice selections that you could choose from. So like art thing, there would be an art project that you could work on. You could build something. So we're trying to play off some of the things that we've already done, but make it more a drop-in, or you could come pick it up and take it home and do it too. Talking about it's winter, but we're talking about summer camps and partnering with a couple local artists to do some summer camps. David and I met with a cool guy that does, he's a retired architect and he does children's books. So we met with him today. Might partner with him on some programming, some STEAM activities at the Makerspace too. I think that's everything.
Cool, thank you. How long are the drop-in activities?
What'd you say? How long?
Yeah, are they like an hour or less?
Like an
or-
hour,
Okay,
probably. Yep.
cool,
Yeah.
good idea.
But you could come hang out and
Yeah,
go longer if you want.
I might be in.
Cool.
Is that just for adults, or can families come into?
There will be different options. So there will be some things, some of the programs that we did before, like a fast lane hockey game. There's a cornhole board, cutting board, things like that. So there'll be different things. If you come with your family and you don't need to, some of the stuff will require some of the actual machinery, and some of it will just be hand tools. So there's a variety of things. So you could bring your family.
Great, thank you. Ross, are you filling in for Ailey by chance?
So the last Creative Council meeting, Ailey unfortunately did come down with COVID, and so that meeting was canceled. But Ailey in general is in good health, but she just wanted to pass that along. She was able to meet with a couple of the different Creative Council people on a quick Zoom meeting, but nothing really that she wanted to report.
All right, well, I think you're still up with the planning and zoning report.
Sure. Like the two previous staff members, mine is pretty short. What I did wanted to highlight on the fiscal report, David had asked us if there was any funds remaining for 2021. We are over just a little bit. We're over about $1,600. That was because of some unforeseen items that we needed to help with the mural along the police department. Our department will cover that cost. So as of right now, the commission has used its full $50,000 through grant programs, as well as the partnership program materials that we purchased. With that though, the funds from the town hall building corp art funds are still available, and those will continue to be available. Those in the past is what we had set aside for the gateway feature, and at your guys' direction, we've set it aside still for artwork along the trail. With that, our staff is working on trailhead institutional partners along the entire corridor. So staff is meeting with different institutions such as the YMCA, in the future Hub and Spoke, and Holy Family Church along the trail. And the thought process behind that is that these locations will be providing public parking, but also the opportunity for trailhead locations, and if they'd like partnerships with artwork. Holy Family has already agreed, like, yes, we want to be one of those. So once all these partnership meetings with the institutional uses is complete, we'll kind of have a full list of those different partners along the trail that would be opened up for artwork. So we're really excited about that. We'll probably have that completed by the end of the year. Other than that, that's pretty much all I had until the next item.
Thank you. Can you give us an update on the 2022 grant program as well, please?
Sure. So with that, you guys did award 18 different grants in the 2021 cycle. 6 of those projects have been completed. And 2 of those projects were extended an additional 6 months into next year due to some scheduling errors. We're pretty confident with those projects as well. Actually, the next project that you guys have all been invited to We got an email earlier this week. Emily Frank's On Point Mixed Rep Showcase is on the 15th, next Monday at the Forum. She was able to comp tickets for anyone on the commission who'd be interested in that, so just let me know. Like Stephanie said, the other grant program that the Planning and Zoning Department administers will be launching next Monday. So if you guys approve this tonight, this is ready and prepped to go and launch on the 15th. Really the only changes from the 2021 to the 2022 cycle is the project must now be accomplished by the end of 2022. That makes sense. We did go ahead and bump the range up at your guys' direction. It previously was 1,000 to 2,500. We felt like potentially that may have limited some projects, so we bumped that up to 5,000. With that though, it'll still be at your guys' direction how much they would be awarded, but now they can ask up to 5,000. So maybe you have 4 or 5,000 projects, and then some other smaller ones too. So maybe a more mix of different ranges in that. Also at staff's direction, we've asked them to sign their MOUs through DocuSign. It's just an easier and cleaner way to make sure that the grant recipients receive their funds as quick as possible from our end. The final reporting will be due back to us in January of 2023. And like I said, if you guys approve this tonight, the grant would open on November 15th. The grant cycle would close on January 31st. So half of November, all of December, and all of January it would be open. Reviews would be done in February, and then with this timeline, I would propose us bringing you those recommendations at the March 7th meeting. Happy to answer any questions. I will also note that you guys have not set aside how much of your $50,000 you want to go towards this grant program. I don't really see a huge issue with that, but just as an FYI. Is there anything you wanted to add, Megan?
I think this looks great. I think I just have one suggestion in the sense of maybe for next year, if we could open up the grant program so that by the time the first of the year starts, we kind of know what, because I'm sure some organizations maybe have events or things they want to plan at the beginning of the year, and so they wouldn't be able to have notice of whether they receive it or not, or be able to, if funding's a concern, they wouldn't be able to do an event till, you know, after March or whatever, March 7th. So I don't know if there's a way so that we could open this up so that by the time the end of 2022, we already know what's happening for 2023, so that people, I don't know if that makes sense, but it just seems like we're almost a third of the year behind, I guess, in terms of events that might want to happen between January and March.
Sure. Okay.
That's the only thing. I don't know how people feel about that, but almost like if we could back it up. And I love the application. I think everything's great. Maybe for 2023, that the application process would open up at the end of 2022, so that we, by January 1st, 2023, people know, okay, this is what is available to me. I don't know. I'd love to know what people's thoughts are.
I agree with Cecilia on this, but I know we kind of had this conversation before that we wanted, just because the first cycle was a little wacky, that we wanted to receive those project end reports from the first cycle before we awarded for the second cycle. And so maybe, I think, Cecilia, you're right, like that would be the ideal time frame to have awards done by the end of the calendar year, so that the recipients have the full 12 months to plan and use it. But maybe our approach is we inch to that. I think just because we started off cycle, that makes it kind of hard. But I am a real fan of receiving those results reports first before we award the next cycle. I think that would be wise.
I agree. I think part of it too was what funding are we going to have to give next year too. So we have to time all of that up. to make sure we have money to give to people if we say we're going to give it to them too. But I agree. I think that that's ideal, and we can continue to inch towards that. Is a good way to put it.
We can
And
definitely make sure that we have those reports wrapped up and provided to you to help guide in your decisions for the previous year.
Any other questions, comments on that? If not, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the grant program as presented.
Perfect. And does this have a dollar? It doesn't have a dollar amount, right?
No, you guys, for 2022, you'll have up to $50,000 to work with at your discretion. So
So we don't need to put a dollar amount on it today?
you don't need
Okay,
to.
so
no.
we can just approve it in that manner?
Right.
And then figure that out? Okay.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
A second?
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
I-
All opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to add one thing, just an observation. I had the pleasure of attending one of our grant recipients projects last month. This was, I think they called it a Diversity Day event that was held here, and it is the recipient, the organization is kind of in the middle of the list, Safina Family Services. You guys, this event was amazing. And it was a very inclusive cultural event. It wasn't very well attended, I would say. Like, it blew me away, and it was something like I felt like if we could have a little bit more publicity and notice about it, I think our community would have loved it. It was a remarkable event, and it just made me proud to be a part of the team that granted that to make it possible. It was a great event.
I would say the only thing to add on to that for the 2022 cycle is asking the recipients to provide back information to us. So we've kind of built that into our program on that they are going to really be required to upload information to This Is Fishers and be part of that process. I agree, as much as asking, like, when's your events, what's happening, there could be a disconnect communication, but I think that's one of the things we've learned from last year.
Could that be maybe, to that point, maybe that's something that's required within the application process, that once you're granted the monies, now you're required to, to let us know when that event
Yes.
is?
Yeah, that is
We-
part of the requirement. I didn't highlight over that today because it
But-
wasn't too
but,
exciting,
I
but
mean-
that is part of the requirement for.
But I mean, just to emphasize, I don't know, because you're right, with
But-
the lack of
and-
knowing what events are happening in the city.
And I believe this was another just victim of our first cycle out of the gate, was just a little wacky and crunched. So I think moving forward, we're going to get there.
We created that great toolkit for the partners that I think we could replicate for the grant recipients. So it's like how to post on the community calendar, how to get a guest blog, things like that. But yeah, I think that's the challenge, is getting that info from them, and then we can share on our social networks. So hopefully we can just replicate that.
All right, thank you. We've got the Arts and Culture 2022 regular meeting schedule. Are you able to click on that, Ross? I'm assuming everybody's seen this, but is that you that's on the computer?
It's,
Oh. It's magic.
yeah, it's in the
It's
odds.
Oz. There we go. So those are the dates that we're presenting. Are there any challenges that you guys know to that? To any of those dates?
The only thing I will add from a staff perspective is, as of right now, the timeline and location of meetings that would normally be held within City Hall, starting March of next year, is yet to be determined. So while location does say Fisher City Hall there, wherever our new location for meetings is we would adopt that for this commission as well, just like with City Council and our BZA meetings. So I'll note that it does say Fisher City Hall there, and that will be the location for the January meeting, if you approve that. But the March through November, we would have to let you know where that location is.
And I would be remiss if I did not mention that the November meeting is on Election Day.
Jocelyn, let me take a look at that. I will fix it.
And
Yeah.
Do we want to vote, have a motion to approve it as presented, subject to a potential change in that date? And that way we get that moving.
I'm good with that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. So that's approved as is with a potential reschedule on the 8th. Is that how you phrased that? Perfect. Thank you. Let me get back to my page here. I believe that Mr. Rich, you've got an update, review and update for us?
Before I do that, can I make a personal observation of something that I think you might benefit from? If any of you've ever been on a cruise and gone on a tour with the cruise, one of the things you do is you get your quiet box or something that you put on your body. And so when the speaker is speaking, you can hear everything. For those of us who are hearing impaired, it's almost impossible to hear what you all are saying. Something like that, for the few people, it won't cost a lot of money, but it will give you, we keep talking about inclusion, it would really help. So again, from the hearing impaired, if you look at that, I think that might be something to benefit.
And I was going to speak to it, but you can go. Yeah, yeah. You.
So we actually had that plan for upgrading this building,
Uh-huh.
and I had already signed the purchase order and everything. And we were gonna have real-time captioning along with a video wall over here, along with some listening devices. But then we made the determination that City Hall needed to be torn down and rebuilt. So that will absolutely be included in the new design for the new
Perfect.
space.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a little delay down.
Yeah. And again, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, so I'm glad you're thinking, okay.
That's a great
Yeah,
observation.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I just want to talk a little bit about the state of the Fishers Arts Council, as this will be my last meeting with you as president of the council. I have suffered through 2.5 years of being that, and I'm looking forward to next year, obviously. I'm afraid that next year may be a redo of COVID-19, simply because after March, we no longer have an art gallery. That's the big thing that we'll be searching for next year, and I know, Ross, you're trying to help out. We have a couple things in mind that we're looking for, but January, February, we will be here with 2 exhibits, and in March, we will be at Conner Prairie with March Awareness. But from that point on, we are looking for a home. We are going to be talking to the Switch, June Lee and Doug Wishon about that. So that's a big thing for next year, and we're hoping we can work our way through that. I don't want to hopscotch around because, you know, we've been talking about hub and spoke as maybe for part of the time, and then the Switch. My goal has always been for artists to be able to sell art and for the citizens to enjoy art. And so I'm going to be looking for the most trafficked area that we can find for next year. I feel really sorry because today I did a 28-page slide for a presentation we're making tomorrow out at Dale Webb. And I'm really good at creating the slides, but that's as far as I can go. Then I have to turn it over to Les. And I did that at about 4 o'clock this afternoon and said, here you go, Les. Get some pictures in here and get some animation in it. But we are going to be talking to Discover Indiana. It's a group of about 150 people tomorrow. And they're all here as transplants because of grandchildren, for the most part. And they're looking at things. So we're going to talk about art. When Les and I came in as treasurer and president, we had about $45,000 in the bank for the Fishers Arts Council. Today, we have about that same amount of money, but it's different because we are spending our money and then replacing it. The old board didn't ever seem to want to spend money, and there weren't a whole lot of activities going on. I liked your comment about for budgeting. The way we budget, because we don't know if we're going to get a grant or a sponsorship or anything, we look at our budget and say how much unrestricted funds do we have, and can we allocate that if we don't get money for this project, and do we want to go forward with it? So we will allocate money from our unrestricted funds, and then we will go pursue sponsorship like Jiffy Lube, Star Bank, Corey Drudge, and say, hey, you know, will you underwrite this? And so that's the way we have been doing ours, so that we don't have to, you know, chew our fingernails waiting for money to come in. All the events in 2021, we think went off either and met expectation or bettered expectation, with the one exception, which was Art on the Prairie. There's not a whole lot you can do with 92-degree heat. We had a wonderful group of volunteers. Even though it was a frustrating day, we always do an evaluation or a survey, because if anybody's getting money or doing something, you want to know their feelings. But the artists would come back, and we really want to pursue this and make this a Penrod of the area. The things that we've done behind the scenes, I know what I want to do, but if it wasn't for Les, I couldn't do it. We had boxes of information, and what we've done now is to put that in Google Drive, so that the next board or the next president comes in and they don't have to hunt for everything. They can go in and find the information. If we're going to communicate with each other, we do it on Slack, so that there is a history. These are things that nonprofits don't typically do, especially small ones, but these are things that are necessary for going forward. We've developed processes so that the next president or whomever comes in says, okay, this is step one of step 27 that we need to do to pull this program together. So those are things that we've done behind the scenes. One of our big excitements this year was part of Sparks, when we figured out when we actually going to do Sparks, Spark of Fishers, was the Car and Auto Show. That just blew the artists away. They had a ton of new attendees, people that didn't really think about art, and until the storm wiped us out, it was an amazing night. So we're really looking forward to doing that again next year. Senior Showcase was very well attended, as was the Droid exhibit. Harvest Fest was another big surprise. For those of you who don't know, Harvest Fest grew out of COVID-19 need by the Parks Foundation, and they were searching for something to do, and we said, well, let's put together a little a festival, and we'll get artists and bring people together. And we had about 300 people the first year. This year, we had all of the nonprofits participate, and it was a way for them to fundraise. We had 43 artists. We had over 1,000 people. It was on a Sunday afternoon. So that was, again, a really good show. And again, all we're trying to do is to get artists out there in front of people to sell. 2022, the art gallery, wherever it is already filled with artists. We're already working on 2023, again, wherever that is. So that's being done. And I guess I just want to leave it with saying thank you to all the people on the council, the commission. It's been an interesting year and an exciting year. I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with. The staff has been amazing. You know, I've been in business for 50-some years. And, you know, when you go into Amazon or Wayfair, nobody's over 25 years old. Nobody. And they look at you, you know, what the hell is this old man doing here? We don't talk to people like you. And what I've learned is from younger people that they do have ideas and they will work with you. So Marissa, Steph, Megan, Ross, been a hero. So all of you have been amazing. And the woman who isn't here, who really helped me, she's half my age, but she's full of wisdom, is Ailey. I really couldn't have asked for somebody better. And then Les, you can't get along without Les. I'm telling you. I say, hey, I had this crazy idea. And she'll go, oh, yeah, and you know, I'd have stayed there for 3 years trying to figure it out. So again, thank all of you. It's been a nice ride, and I'll look to see you in 2022 in some form or fashion. So thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. You did drop your key, by the way. You dropped your key, by the way. So when are you officially done? When are you officially done?
December 31st.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I hope you don't have anything planned or anything.
No. I'll wait till January for that. Just wanted to say thank you. I didn't realize it was coming up that soon, and I mean, you're going to be extremely missed. You do so much for the arts community here and artists and us, and it's just been awesome to work with you, and it's always a pleasure. So I'm sure we'll see you and give you an official goodbye, high five, or fist bump. But thank you.
Tom, and I just want to echo what David said. It's been a pleasure to work with you and the Fishers Arts Council, and you're such a dedicated, passionate servant, and you have that artistic heart, and you really help to develop the arts in our city and our town. And thank you so much for everything that you've done and all the many years of service. And we're going to miss you for sure.
All right, thank you. We have a strategic plan work session.
Yes. Sweet. Can you switch it to the? What are these? Thank you. Can you switch it to the click share real quick? So I did want to go ahead and showcase what you guys worked on at the last meeting, which was our mission statement. At the end, we kind of had a draft version of it that you guys felt really comfortable with. We said we would put it together and show you guys again tonight. So we don't necessarily have to elaborate this as much, but the working mission statement that came out of the last meeting was as follows. The Fishers Arts and Cultural Commission champions growth of art and cultural experiences as vital components of Fishers' vibrant and inclusive community. I know we did a lot of wordsmithing at the last meeting. I'm not sure if there's any more comments tonight. If not, we can kind of keep it as the working mission statement, and if you guys find any need to change it in the future, we can do that. But is there any further comment on the mission statement for right now?
Yeah, I think at the last one, we wanted fresh voices to, if anybody had any other opportunity to comment on the statement. So for me, it looks good still.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, the other things that we would like to look at is there were several recommendations that Resultant made, and the one that we pulled out to look at next was recommendation number 7, which is on page 8 of the document if you have that available. But it really looked at establishing a strategy for advancing and measuring and communicating goals with the community, the Creative Council, and the City of Fishers. So really just going to pass it over to you guys. If you guys have ideas on how we can best do that, we can try to provide that back into you in a digestible format. But really just like to open this up as a conversation for you guys in ways that you think that the commission or staff can do a better job of advancing and communicating the goals.
I think one now, just to start a conversation, would be the impact of people who have either experienced art that the commission has participated in, whether that's attendees or events or whatever. I mean, finding some sort of tangible number of estimated people that are impacted. You could even take like the people who are walking on the trail as seeing the art on the police garage, I think, is having an impact. So I might recommend something about the people impact.
So is that more to like the measuring component? Like measuring how many people were impacted by that? Okay.
Marissa, what is our usual parks way of harnessing that kind of data?
It's definitely a challenge, depending on the location of our event. And to be quite honest, it's a guesstimate in most of our events, with the exception of like our agri park, where we have one entry point and we can track attendance. So it's something that we're working on, but it's really difficult when you have multiple entry points. So I don't know. I think we need to continue to noodle on it. There are a few options that we've explored, and IT has been involved in some of those conversations. They're really expensive. It involves like facial recognition and crowd movement and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very in depth, but our guesstimates are fairly good, I think, at least for our events. But I don't know for the Nickel Plate Trail that.
Well,
right now at least.
okay. And send out surveys.
No, not to our events because they're free, non-reserved. Because of the uptick in attendance, I think that's what we're going to move towards next year. And I think for a lot of reasons, it's going to help us with attendance counts. It's going to help us with like the analytics on who's attending our events.
You should check out the Oakland Museum of California Arts website. They have a new engagement tool that they use where they measure for impact.
Oh, okay.
And it's part of their survey that they send out. So it's
Okay.
like their normal demographic survey, and they've added questions to it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So should we really start with what the goals are first and then figure out how to measure those? I mean, do we have any more background on this? I'm trying to recall the whole conversation around it.
So is the goals referring to establishing goals, or how do we advance and measure and communicate the goals we already established? Is that it? That's what I think that refers to.
Ross, do you have any background on that or recollection?
Yeah, it's a little slow. It's pulling it up right now. So again, in the document that Resultant put together for us, they had these recommendations, which was following through with the goals that had been put together through the commission. We pulled this one out, and I think maybe you're right in figuring out ways of communicating this better, but they did have this one at the end, which was establishing a strategy for advancing those. But to your point, Marisol, about what are the goals, I guess we can look at it from that perspective.
So the one before that says prioritize key and visionary goals to align the commission's efforts with the mission statement that we just created and to provide clarity to stakeholders on the commission's priorities. So it seems like we would kind of start there and then maybe figure out measuring.
I think on page 6 of that document, it says the summary of outcomes and considerations. It has the big, hairy, audacious goals, and there's 4 bullet points. And then we had a list of 4 SMART goals. Or I'm sorry, wait, that's 1, 2, 3, 8? I can't do math. So to your point, maybe it's a review of what those are, prioritizing those.
Yeah, I don't think we finalized these goals, did we? These were just kind of ones that I think came up in conversation because we were saying, hey, we didn't have our mission statement figured out. Like, we need to figure that out and then revisit the goals and then come back with the metrics behind it.
Yeah, that's how I read that last bullet point. So I think we do need to start there to make sure we're clear on what those goals are first, and then establish that strategy to then advance them and measure them and communicate them.
So do we want to go through these 4 all together, or everybody kind of look at it quickly? I know not everybody has a computer. I don't know if you can see them up there. So the big, hairy, audacious goals: creating an iconic location, place, icon, or symbol that is recognizable to residents and people outside of Fishers; establishing an arts and culture season with pillar events; incorporating arts and culture experiences into the expansion of trails in Fishers; a center for arts and culture in Fishers. Then the SMART goals, we had at least 1 successful cultural community event, identifying funding for arts and culture from outside sources, gaining national media recognition, conducting a survey, with feedback from the Creative Council. Some additional surveys, social media to gauge public perception, and diversify the commission's methods of outreach. So to your point, David, I don't think we had any, there's nothing really in there of having a data point to measure community impact, people who are impacted directly by participating in or experiencing anything that the Arts and Culture Commission does. So maybe we revise today to just spending the rest of the time looking at SMART goals.
Yeah, either the SMART or the big goals. Yeah, I don't, you might get some of the SMART ones out of the, if everybody's feeling creative to like go after this right now, because that's a pretty big task, but yeah, I think if we start with the big, hairy, audacious goals, then some of these other ones will kind of maybe fall underneath it.
Sure. I'm totally flying by the seat of my pants. I'm obviously not
Well,
a
look,
strategic
we
planning
can get through it
professional,
together.
so I can continue to play this role unless somebody else wants to.
Yeah, maybe we just kind of all chime in, because
Yes.
normally I'd probably have like a dry erase board or something like that to try to like brainstorm through it. I can't stand anyway, so. So
Marissa, I have a question. So I know when I've attended some events, you have a Parks and Recreation like tent, and you give out swag. Like, is there a way where at that point we could, at certain events, we could have some kind of survey or something that people could fill out, and in exchange, they get swag or whatever, but at that point, to kind of gauge people's feedback on events, or maybe periodically, like on the trail, the same thing, like have some kind of a tent with swag, and then say, share your experience of the trail or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
We have parks ambassadors, and they do that out in our parks. We have done it at some of our events. We have not enticed them with swag, but we haven't gotten great data from it. It's usually just, yeah, it's great across the board. So, yeah, it could be enticing them with different things, definitely.
Can you write? They're talking about how to measure some of these things, but so we first want to focus on.
You're in the back spot.
Actually are, so we're
Don't worry
looking
about
at.
it. I can move. Put it where David can see it.
That's fine, I can see it fine. So we really want to dream big here. So like, what are some things that, would really make a huge difference, and maybe some things that we don't even think are achievable. So like, one of them on here is the Center for Arts and Culture. If this was 2 years ago, that probably would have been a big, very audacious goal, that we were like, there's no way that's going to happen, but guess what's happening?
Yeah.
So like things like that, what are some ideas that you all could throw out there that would be really high level goals? We can write that one, I guess, that's a start. Let's get it going. Center for Arts and Culture. I turned it off. Okay. I'll turn it back on. I thought we were going to be moving around, sorry.
I would say, should we have some kind of measurable goal for attendance at these events at each year, increasing by like
Yeah.
X percentage?
I think that this, though, is that what is the goal we're after? So like, that's a measurable for one of these goals. So absolutely agree 100%, but like, what are you even going to measure? So is it going to be a maker playground? Is it going to be the attendance at the Center for Arts and Culture? Is it going to be the people on the trail? All of those things. And so I think we have to like dream big, like those type of ideas first, and then come back to that, if that makes sense. Am I explaining it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe we start at where you started, kind of, here. Do all of these still make sense for all of us?
Are you saying like the ones that are already listed here?
Those four.
The four?
Yeah, out of those four, are those ones that we can still count on?
Yeah.
Definitely the Center for Arts, we said yes, right? That way we can start here, and if there are ones that we want to take out or add
Yeah.
in.
I think that's a good idea. So the next one going up is incorporating arts and culture experiences into the expansion of trail and fishers. Yeah,
We can certainly add that because that also is happening, so.
right. Which
Yeah.
is a huge thing. Like, to me, that's one of the best assets we have that we need to build out. So I think that that's a big goal, and that could be, I mean, I think you all saw the original vision for that. It's very interactive, and that is a big, hairy, audacious goal to pull something like that off. And then we come back and figure out what the metrics are to make sure that that's successful.
Well, and I have been touting that already, so we probably should told people to look out for that.
I think a lot of these goals too can direct staff and things that we're already working on, like Megan Vukic here and our director of engineering are working on our next level trails grant. Fourth time is the charm, we're hoping. But with that, looking at different trailheads and having the opportunity for art along the trail, like that's being built into that system. So because of what you guys are talking about, it's directing staff strategically on applying for things.
So we have on here establishing an arts and culture season with pillar events balanced with organic pop-up experiences. Is that a big, hairy, audacious goal?
I think that an arts and culture season could be its own big, very audacious goal, like a renowned, like, this is something that people put on their calendars throughout summer or whenever it is, that it's synonymous with like a great experience.
Okay.
And synonymous with fishers, right, that people say that's. Yes. Exactly.
And
I thought,
That's something I think the Creative Council is missing. One of the things I thought we were going to do, the Creative Council, was for that group to identify those signature events throughout the season so that everybody knew in the fall it was St. George's or it was the Blues Festival, and you didn't mess with those and you didn't schedule around those. But I don't think that's really come to fruition yet. So, I think that's very, very important.
I think from like a parks perspective too, since a lot of the events that are happening, like Blues Festival, I think is a great one. And I think we should recognize and promote that a lot more than we do. I think hearing from all of you, to Ross's point, the things that we are already doing, what of those things are important to this commission? Because we can make a decision that, based on a lot of different things, that maybe it doesn't make sense to continue doing, but if it's an important event and we think we can build and grow it, then we wouldn't want to cut it too, so.
So, season with pillar events balanced with organic pop-up experiences. Yeah. Well, it's a with pillar events balanced with organic pop-up experiences. This is what this says, but we can, yeah. Okay.
Events could still, it still should all be within like the same umbrella and feel of the Arts and Culture Commission, but I think successful organic pop-up events are still, that could live on its own too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, is that a big, hairy, audacious goal though too? Like, I mean, compared to like a rec center, now, and I'm not saying that's a bad goal. Like that may be a great goal for us in our SMART goals, and that may be something we want to do, but to me, that doesn't seem like, oh my God, we just turned the world upside down with the goal.
I thought at one point we had talked about as big goals is having a big cultural festival. I thought that was kind of been talked about, and I thought the other thing was some kind of culinary experience. It's culinary, it's IoT, it's design, it's creative, it's artistic.
I think that's on the SMART goals
It's
right
on
there.
the SMART, but
Yeah.
to me, that's a big, hairy, audacious goal. I don't know, but it's listed as a SMART goal, but isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know. Isn't it
we're
part of
sorry. We're kind of going about this, like as we said, by the seat of our pants. So it's kind of not flowing very well. So let's get these on there and let's hit the SMART goals, and then let's regroup on it and then figure out how we define them, and then what is a big, hairy, audacious goal, what is a SMART goal, and then bring those back and kind of like figure out what we're going to do as a group. Like, do we like these? Do we not like those? And then go from there, because I don't think there's any way we're going to get through it at the fly here. So I'll go through this fourth one on here, and then let's go to the SMART goals and then try from there. So. Well, yeah. So, well, at least this one. So, well, don't write this yet, but this was the fourth one. It says creating an iconic location, place, icon, or symbol that is recognizable to residents and people outside of Fishers. Now, does that go with the last one, with the seasons and events, or was that something different than that?
It looks different to me in like
Different
a
too?
location. I don't know if that's like a gateway piece. I don't like know how to read that.
I think when we, yeah, got
Yeah, so either location, place, icon, or symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that isn't, to me, it's not that audacious. I think that is more a SMART goal. But again, to the point, we'll just put it all on one.
But wasn't that one, I don't know, wasn't that one more based on like our symbol, our Fishers Arts and Culture Commission symbol and all that, our design, the logo?
I don't
was that
think,
part of the
I don't think
goal
so.
or no?
Okay.
So does anybody feel passionately about that? Like, I mean, we've got some good ones. We don't have to have 10. We could have one if we want at the end of the day. But do you feel like that fits? Keep it on, keep it off?
I do think that goal is important and is something that we're lacking.
Okay.
And that is something that communities really enjoy having, right? Like that iconic thing. The piece I feel that's missing for me is an element of interactivity, meaning just a gateway, sculpture or something that's nice. But I'm in my mind, I'm considering like the Bean in Chicago, right? Like something iconic, but also something that you can interact with or people gather with.
Okay.
And some of the artwork, public art we've regarded here from like some of the proposals have had elements of that. So we might be on its way, but for me, what's missing on all these big, hairy, audacious goals is the idea of interactivity, something that connects people with art. So I'm not.
Yeah, and we still have to build them out.
Pop-up
so,
experience.
like the interaction and the experience might all be built into whatever we decide that ultimately is, but that's just if that makes sense. And so there's still a long way to go with those, and those could really morph into anything. But I totally get what you're seeing. So we need to put the fourth one on there. So we like the fourth one from this list. So you can write it or not write it, whatever you want to do. Okay, your handwriting is very nice. So if we move into SMART goals, we had executing and supporting at least one successful cultural community event. So that would be a goal for the commission.
Now, do some of the grant-funded programs count towards
Good.
SMART goals?
I like that. So I don't think we're going to make you write all these unless you really want to. Yeah, you look really uncomfortable. You want my crutches? All right, the next one was identifying funding for arts and culture, not only by increasing the Arts and Culture Grant Fund, but by promoting other sources of funding for creative and cultural leaders.
That's fine.
Sound like something we want to continue to build out? Okay. Gaining national media recognition for an innovative idea or experience in Fishers, such as the Fishers Test Kitchen. Like that? Okay. Conducting a survey twice a year to collect formal feedback from the Creative Council. Conducting surveys to be distributed by creative and cultural leaders at events supported by the Commission. So,
This would be the commission that would be there? Or like who would be conducting surveys? Or is that like back to? Yeah, like what we were talking about earlier.
I think that's more like what, I think, Tom, you're doing that. You're providing surveys to the artists that show up to get feedback from them. So to me, that's what that is.
Okay.
Was somebody going to say something? Thought I heard somebody. No? Is you, yeah.
It was, does it need to be drilled down a bit more? I mean, we've got 3 different surveys up here, and so just wondering.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to come back, and then this may be a meeting outside of this meeting, unfortunately, but yeah, we're going to have to clean a lot of stuff up.
Okay.
So I guess right now what I'm trying to do, like high level, should these be in consideration or not consideration?
Sure.
So far, they're all in. Working with Nickel Plate to gather Fisher's data from their larger survey. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's nickel plate art.
Yeah.
Right?
To
Is-
do something that they're already doing. I
Is that a smart goal? Like, to me, that's not.
It's like a task.
Okay, we can
Yeah.
take one off.
Yeah.
So
And
It's really just about sharing data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what that sounds like.
which we already do. They provide data with us as they're a consultant that our department pays for moving forward. So
Yeah.
I think we're already doing that one.
Mm-hmm.
taking out working with nickel plate.
Well,